Hello YouTube, Gaming Goddess here doing a review on a Japanese role-playing game called Tonelico 2, Melody of Metafalica. This game was published by NIS America and is the sequel to the first Tonelico game, taking place roughly about a year to a year and a half after the conclusion of the first game. So originally, this game was released in Japan as Tonelico 2, the girl's Metafalica that echoes to the world. Yeah, I know it's a pretty long title for a game, but that's pretty much what it translates to. So just like the first game, this one wasn't too popular here in America. I personally think it should have gotten a lot more attention than what it did. So first, our story. Just like the previous game, this one also takes place on the planet of RCL, but in a different region. We are in a place known as Metal Falls, and our tower of Tonelico doesn't look much like a tower, but it does in fact have some of the same facilities as the tower in the first game. The region of Metal Falls surrounds the second tower of Tonelico, which is said to represent the goddess Feralia, who is one of the trio of Alemia. Now time to introduce some characters. First up we have Croy, who is our main character and promising young knight who finds himself involved in more than he imagined. His character is seen wearing glasses, and this is probably because he has poor eyesight, but during battle he's seen not wearing them. As for his personality, he's overall pretty strong-minded, and just like every other hero in every other video game, he cares for and protects the ones who are close to him. Second, we have Lady Cloche, who is one of our Ravatels and main heroines to the game. She is one of my favorite characters personally. Cloche is a highly respected holy maiden of Grand Bell. At first, she is seen as harsh, demanding, pretty rude, and distrustful towards others. She has an attitude for a celebrity, even though she looks strong and confident on the surface. In all reality, Cloche doubts herself more than anything. The first time I played, I picked to go with Cloche when it gave me the option. I regret nothing. Even though she is rather harsh, she does open up her heart and takes a liking towards the others. Our next Ravatel is Luca, who is Croy's childhood friend. She's a very cheerful girl and works as a dive therapist. She is extremely knowledgeable in all matters relating to diving and dive therapy. She also likes to keep a lot of secrets hidden, and this causes her to be pessimistic and angry at times. Jackley is our last Ravatel and another one of my favorite characters. At first she is seen as an enemy, but later we see that she's just mysterious and weird. But aside from that, she wants to save the world using the theories of Metafalica, so she ends up joining Croy and the others. I don't want to say too much about her for those who haven't played the first game or finished this game, but her backstory is actually really cool and she has a lot of secrets. So next we have Kaukauna, who is Croy's adopted little sister. 2 years prior to when the game actually takes place, she had lost her real family, making her an orphan. Kaukauna is in fact a Ravatel herself, but she's not mature enough to use any song magic. Leglius is the captain of the Grand Bell Knights and is Croy's superior. Most of the time he places his missions above everything else. After traveling with Croy, he learns that he is somewhat troubled over some of the values of what he is ordered to do as opposed what he wants to do. Next up we have Omri, who is actually voiced by a pretty popular voice actor. But anyways, Omri is a wandering adventurer who seems to have many secrets about her motives at first, but then later we see that she isn't all that bad. And finally, Shun, a blue wolf-like creature that first appears as an enemy. He calls himself a servant of God. He is loyal to Feralia and would do anything to protect her. Once he becomes a part of the group, he is an advisor for Croy and the others. So that pretty much does it for our main characters and our party members in our group. Now, I want to talk a little bit about some side characters that are actually really important to this game. Now, I keep mentioning Feralia, and you're probably all wondering, who is Feralia? Well, Feralia is the administrator of the second tower of Tonelico. She is also the one that created and maintains the very existence of the tower. Now, Feralia is actually a pretty cool character with an interesting backstory. She is called the Goddess by the people of Metal Falls, and on top of that, she is one of the 3 singing goddesses of Alemia, known as the Trio of Alemia from the first game. So halfway through the game, it is revealed that Feralia has been sleeping inside a pod that is inside the ruins of Kaukauna Pier for the last 700 years. She has been awakened by the Sacred Army to sing hibernation, but the song is then interrupted by Luca. Because of this, hibernation cannot be complete, and Feralia is also one of the original Ravatels. Next up, we have Infel, who is first seen as Lady Cloche's mind guardian. She's very intelligent, but she also likes cracking horrible jokes at the worst moment possible, and dislikes being told her jokes are bad. However, she also seems to harbor some dark secrets. She is in fact not a mind guardian, but the leftover consciousness of the first holy maiden. And finally, we have Nanesha, who is Infel's friend. 400 years ago, she wanted to create Metafalica with Infel, but their plan failed. Infel had opened her heart to everyone, but because of the darkness that she was harboring, she wasn't able to channel her feelings and power of the people to Nanesha. Moving on to my next topic, so just like in the first game, we can dive into our Ravatels, which are Cloche, Luca, Jackley, and Freya. Diving is pretty important since this is the only way we can create stronger song magic. During the first phase, we are given an option to protect Luca or Cloche. Now the choice is yours. Something that makes this game a little different from the first is once you pick your Ravatel, the other Ravatel's Cosmospheres pretty much become obsolete after you reach level 5. Now in order to get an ending with Jackley, then you cannot finish the 5th level of the Ravatel you picked, or you can pick the friend option when given the option. Freya, on the other hand, is different. You can only dive into Freya after you defeat Rocky in the 5th phase of the game. She only has 5 short dives, so it's not completely necessary, but you can if you want to. In order to advance in the Cosmosphere, talk topics are required, which can be found walking around in different parts of the city and areas in the game, as well as gained when diving into the Ravatel. Depending on the level, you will get a different costume for your Ravatel, which can be equipped and can be used in battle. The Ravatel will then have a conversation with you about this outfit. This game also has a dual stalling feature unlike the first game. This is where we can level up our Ravatels. As you play through the game, you will find and buy crystals in which you place in a bath along with toys and of course the Ravatels. They'll swim around in the bath and hopefully, depending on where the crystals are placed, they will gain a power boost from it. And also the girls will sometimes have their own talk topic conversations, which will boost the synchronity of the two Ravatels that talk to each other. So in this game we have IPDs. These are basically Ravatels that have been infected. Cloche and Kaukauna are infected IPD victims. We will run into a variety of IPDs in different areas that we explore. For every IPD captured, we can perform dive therapy on them with Luca. The level of the IPD infected Ravatel is how hard the fight will be and how hard the dive therapy is going to be as well. But not to worry, it's not super essential in the game to perform dive therapy on these girls, but if you want Cloche to produce stronger song magic, then I recommend doing it since they'll join her fan club once they're cured. There are a variety of shops where you can of course buy things, and you can also synthesize weapon, armor, toys, medicine, and food. Depending on which shop you go to, a certain Ravatel can help you make these items. If it's the first time making this item, then they will have a conversation about the item that they are making. So unlike the first game, which is turn-based, this game has a time-based battle system which uses 2 phases, an attack phase and a defense phase. Also, this time we can use 2 Ravatels and 2 party members. Right at the start, we are given the option to pick which song magic we want to use, and we can also pick between the 2 Ravatels that we have with us in our party to use a certain song magic. Also, I usually just let them charge it all the way till they run out of magic, but you can release it pretty much any time that you want. As you level up in this game, which actually goes by pretty fast, you will eventually unlock all the moves for your party members. This opens up their special ability. The only way the special ability can be used is by charging up your attacks, which can be done by pressing a direction and the X and square buttons when you attack. This will level up the attack, and once it's maxed out, you are free to use your special move. Each character's move plays a pretty cool animation. I haven't really checked to see which one's the strongest, but they're all more or less pretty powerful, actually more powerful than the basic attack. Also, Shin's special ability is my favorite, and he also has the longest animation. During Phase 5, at some point, you will have a mandatory boss fight against someone that you already fought in another phase, but this time there is a glitch during this battle. The first time that I fought Rocky, I honestly thought that I broke the game because the game would just freeze. Well, actually, this is where the glitch comes in. Rocky has an attack that is called Fractal Change, When she uses this attack, it actually freezes the game. This is because it was taken out of the American version. There is also a few random fights that will also freeze the game in the middle of the fight or when you finish the battle. The graphics in this game are pretty much the same as the first. Nothing really changed except for the fact that we have more animated cutscenes in this one. It's truly outstanding with how many of both animated and CGI cutscenes there are in this game. They're both pretty smooth for the most part, and the only real problem was that during some of the fights it felt like it was lagging just a bit. Also in this game we hear a lot more hymn notes than we did in the first. This is actually pretty cool because I enjoyed listening to the songs that each Ravatail would sing throughout the game. The way they did it made it flow with both the game itself and the general story of the game. Now for some pros and cons. First off, the pros for me in this game was that there's a lot more story to read. I love games with a fantastic storyline. The graphics were also a plus because there were a lot more animated scenes throughout the game. Again, the music was just simply amazing, and the characters always developed so nicely, even though most of them have secrets, which now leads me to the cons. Too many of the characters were actually hiding a lot of things. Yes, it did add to the story and gave some type of mystery to it, but it was not a plus for me. Another downside to this game was the rocky glitch during Phase 5. I really had a hard time trying to figure it out, and once I did, I didn't want to go back and do it again. Thinking back on the Tonelico series, I really liked Tonelico 2 way more than the first Tonelico game. The second installment has a lot more content, and it felt like a more well-rounded experience compared to the first game. If you enjoy a phenomenal story, great visuals, and an awesome soundtrack, I would highly recommend playing this now. I will definitely give this game an 11 out of 10, just because this beautiful experience is hard to put into words. You really have to play it to understand the world of Tonelico. This has been a Gaming Goddess review, and remember to keep on gaming.
He